As Marilyn Monroe stepped into the heart of the 1950s, I transformed from Norma Jean Mortensen, the uncertain foster child, into a global symbol whose image carried an aura of both radiance and vulnerability. Yet with this transformation came an increasingly heavy burden, the weight of expectation, the pressure of the film industry, the relentless glare of the public eye, and the constant struggle between the woman she was inside and the image the world demanded she maintain. Her career trajectory during this decade saw her blossom into a leading actress with undeniable charisma, though she often wrestled with being typecast in comedic or sexualized roles. After her success in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, audiences clamored for more of her vivacious characters. The role of Lorelei Lee, with its cheeky gold digger humor, showcased her talent for comedy and her instinctive sense of timing. The film also cemented the now legendary scene of Marilyn in a pink gown, singing Diamonds Are a Girl as best friend, a moment that would define her visual legacy for decades. Yet, despite the popularity, Monroe herself desired deeper, more serious work. She longed to be respected not only as a starlet but as a true actress. In How to Marry a Millionaire, alongside Betty Grable and Lauren Bacall, she further demonstrated her ability to stand out even in a strong ensemble cast. She played the nearsighted but endearing Paula who refuses to wear glasses around men, believing that doing so might damage her appeal. Audiences adored her for the mixture of charm and vulnerability, and critics acknowledged her knack for elevating roles that could have easily been one-dimensional. Yet still, Monroe chafed at being boxed into the category of the dumb blonde. Her private life, by this point, was becoming as captivating to the press as her films. In January of 1954, Marilyn married baseball legend Joe DiMaggio, one of America's greatest sports heroes. The union of the glamorous movie star and the stoic, disciplined athlete captured the public's imagination. Fans adored them, but in reality, the marriage was stormy. DiMaggio admired Marilyn deeply but also struggled with the public nature of her fame, particularly when it involved her playing sexually charged roles or posing in provocative photos. The breaking point famously came during the filming of The 7 Years in 1954. The movie contained the now iconic sequence in which Monroe's white dress billows up over a subway grate, an image that would later be printed, parodied, immortalized as one of cinema's most recognizable stills. The scene was shot in New York City before a crowd of gawking onlookers, with cameras flashing and cheers rising every time the dress lifted. DiMaggio, who was present, became enraged at the public spectacle. Their arguments escalated and the marriage, already strained by his jealousy and her intense work schedule, collapsed. They divorced after only 9 months. Professionally, however, The 7 Years became one of her biggest hits. The image of the white dress continued to feed the myth of Marilyn Monroe as a seductive, yet playful goddess, forever cementing her in the pantheon of Hollywood immortality. Yet, for Marilyn herself, it deepened the chasm between the public image and her personal longing for recognition. As a serious actress, by the mid-50s, Monroe had grown increasingly dissatisfied with the roles assigned to her by 20th Century Fox. She felt exploited as a commodity rather than nurtured as an artist. Demonstrating courage and defiance, she broke her contract with the studio and moved to New York, where she began studying at the Actors Studio under the guidance of Lee Strasberg. This was a bold and risky move. It meant stepping away from the glamour machine of Hollywood to pursue the craft of acting with seriousness and discipline. Many dismissed her decision, but Marilyn persevered. She attended classes diligently, sitting alongside young performers who were far less famous than she was, yet often more respected in terms of raw ability. Lee Strasberg and his wife Paula became central figures in Marilyn's life. They offered her mentorship, emotional support, and artistic guidance. Strasberg believed that beneath her glamorous exterior was a sensitive, intelligent woman with enormous untapped potential. Under his instruction, Monroe explored deeper emotional territory in her work, drawing from her tumultuous childhood, her feelings of abandonment, and her struggles with insecurity. She desired not only to entertain but to reveal truth through performance. At the same time, Marilyn formed her own production company, Marilyn Monroe Productions, in collaboration with photographer Milton Green. This bold step was a direct assertion of independence against the powerful Hollywood studio system. It allowed her to exert more control over her career, choose roles that resonated with her, and demand the respect she felt she had earned. Her production company was involved in the making of Bus Stop in 1956, a film that marked a turning point in her career. In Bus Stop, Monroe played Sherry, a saloon singer with dreams of going to Hollywood. The role required her to portray not glamour but raw humanity. She adopted a deliberately unpolished singing voice, wore less flattering costumes, and fully embraced the vulnerability of the character. Critics praised her performance, with many acknowledging it as her finest work up to that point. For Monroe, it was vindication, proof that she was more than the blonde stereotype, that she possessed the depth and craft of a true actress. The following year, she married playwright Arthur Miller, a figure who represented intellectual prestige in American culture. Their union was a source of fascination. The brilliant, cerebral writer of Death of a Salesman with the radiant, fragile movie star. Marilyn believed that Miller understood her, respected her intellect, and would provide the stability she longed for. The marriage, however, was complex. Miller admired her but also struggled with her insecurities, her bouts of depression, and her dependence on prescription medications. Professionally, the late 50s brought both triumph and turbulence. Monroe appeared in The Prince and the Showgirl in 1957, acting opposite Laurence Olivier. Though tensions on set were high, Olivier reportedly found her methods exasperating. Marilyn nonetheless delivered a performance that blended humor with charm. The film itself received mixed reviews, but Monroe's work was acknowledged as significant growth in her artistic development. The pinnacle of her career came with Some Like It Hot in 1959, directed by Billy Wilder. Starring alongside Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon, Monroe played Sugar Cane, a ukulele-playing singer with dreams of marrying a millionaire. The film's screwball energy and daring humor delighted audiences. Monroe's comic timing, musical talent, and warmth made Sugar unforgettable. The film went on to become one of the greatest comedies in cinematic history, and Monroe won a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Comedy. Yet, behind the scenes, her struggles were evident. She frequently arrived late to the set, often due to crippling anxiety, insomnia, and her reliance on barbiturates and alcohol to cope. Still, her natural charisma on screen overshadowed the turmoil, and the film remains a timeless gem. The early 1960s, however, would bring increasing challenges. Monroe starred in Let's Make Love in 1960 opposite Eve Montan. Production was overshadowed by rumors of an affair between Monroe and Montan, which created tensions in her marriage to Arthur Miller. Though she continued to work, her health, both physical and mental, began to deteriorate. In 1961, she appeared in The Misfits, a film written by Arthur Miller specifically for her. Co-starring Clark Gable and Montgomery Clift, the film was deeply personal. Monroe's character, Rosalind, mirrored her own sense of fragility and yearning for love. The filming process was grueling, marked by extreme desert heat and the visible decline of both Monroe and Gable. Shortly after filming ended, Gable died of a heart attack, an event that devastated Monroe. The film itself, though not initially a commercial success, would later be recognized as one of her most poignant performances. Her marriage to Arthur Miller ended in divorce, adding to her feelings of abandonment and failure. By this time, Marilyn's dependence on prescription drugs had intensified. Doctors frequently prescribed sedatives, sleeping pills, and stimulants without fully addressing the underlying causes of her distress. Monroe often felt isolated, surrounded by people who either idolized her or wanted something from her, but rarely those who could provide the grounding stability she craved. In 1962, Monroe's personal and professional life became increasingly erratic. She was fired from the set of Something Has Got to Give due to repeated absences, illness, and conflicts with studio executives. Nonetheless, she still managed to create one of the most unforgettable cultural moments of the century when she sang Happy Birthday to President John F. Kennedy at Madison Square Garden in May of that year. Wearing a glittering, skin-tight gown, her breathy performance fueled rumors of an affair with the president, further feeding the mystique surrounding her. But beneath the sparkle, Monroe was spiraling. She struggled with depression, loneliness, and a sense that the world adored her image but never truly saw the woman beneath. She often confided in close friends and her acting coaches about her fears of being discarded, being unworthy of love, and of never escaping the shadow of the Marilyn persona. On August 5th, 1962, Marilyn Monroe was found dead in her Los Angeles home at the age of 36. The official cause was ruled a probable suicide due to barbiturate overdose. The speculation and conspiracy theories would forever surround her passing. Some believe she but silenced due to her connections with political figures. Others insisted her death was an accident. Regardless of the cause, the world had lost one of its most luminous stars in death. Marilyn Monroe became even larger than life. Her image remained eternally youthful, frozen in the public imagination as the glamorous goddess in a white dress, the playful singer of diamonds, the vulnerable saloon girl in Bus Stop, and the unforgettable Sugar Cane. She became a muse for artists, musicians, and writers. Andy Warhol immortalized her face in his pop art. Generations of performers looked to her as both an inspiration and a cautionary tale. Marilyn Monroe's legacy endures not because she was perfect, but because she was profoundly human. She embodied contradictions, strength and fragility, joy and sorrow, glamour and despair. She was a woman who longed for love yet was often abandoned, who craved respect yet was reduced to an image, who radiated light yet battled shadows within. Her story continues to resonate because it reflects not only the dazzling allure of Hollywood, but also the universal struggle to be seen, loved, and remembered for who we truly are. Even decades after her passing, Marilyn remains a cultural touchstone. Biographers, filmmakers, admirers revisit her story again and again, seeking to understand the mystery of Marilyn Monroe. Was she the ultimate victim of fame, or was she a woman who courageously sought to forge her own path in a world determined to control her? Perhaps she was both. What cannot be denied is that her presence, her beauty, and her aching humanity left an indelible mark on the world. And so Marilyn Monroe lives on not only as a shimmering icon in film history, but as a poignant reminder of the fragile line between stardom and solitude, between image and identity, between the dream and the reality of life under the spotlight.